So welcome to our session. It's Living Styleguide in your Drupal projects. And I want to tell you about the benefits of component-driven design. So this talk is not actually about Srce and anything like that. If you expect this here, it's about a real living style guide and how this is connected to Drupal 7 and Drupal 8. So this can also be done in Drupal 7. And but we have examples from Drupal 8, of course. And yeah, so my name is Knud. I'm a project manager at drunomics. Drunomics is a Vienna-based company. And maybe some people know Fargo or Wolfgang Ziegler, the inventor of rules. And he's our boss. And we're working together in Vienna. And I'm mainly doing front-end development, some back-end development, project management. And this is my colleague, Oleksandr Milkovsky. He's originally from the Ukraine, but works for a long time as a Drupal developer and for nearly 4 years at drunomics. And he's a module maintainer, active contributor, doing lots of backend stuff, lots of front-end. And he will jump in later with some real examples we have recorded for you. And yeah. So the basic question everyone should know. So what is a style guide and why do we need a style guide? So this is the explanation from Wikipedia, and it says a style guide, a manual of style, is a set of standards for the writing and design of documents, either for general use or for a specific publication, organization, or field. Well, I suppose you all know what a real style guide is, but this is only just an explanation. And there are several, so these are the universal goals of Styleguide Driven Development. So properly factor the front-end code base so future changes are straightforward and decoupled from each other. So that says it's that you should have a real front end which is not connected to any backend, and build a proper documentation of the website design, which is always up to date, which is something in the past you couldn't do. There are a lot of style guides which are very static, but we want a real documentation which reflects the current state of the website. Enable all members of the team to pair on its creation, maintenance, and evolution. That means really everyone, also the customer, the marketing people, the front-end developers, the back-end developers, the UX designers, everyone. So the goal for us was to make the customer happy. And that's always the goal of each company. So we know different style guides. So the most popular is the design documentation. Nearly every designer does this. They do a Photoshop document with all the things they think belongs to a website. They do some files for desktop, some tablets, some mobile screens. And they deliver it in Photoshop, or in today's time, they also deliver it in Zeppelin. That's more convenient and easy for us, because in Zeppelin you can also see all the CSS things, and you can guess how it's meant to be. But that's, what do the customer do with it? The customer looks at it and have a first glance of what the website should look like, but he really cannot see how it behaves in the real world. So how it is on certain pages, and how the components work together. That's very static. So customer maybe not that happy about it, but for a first look at it, and it's good enough, I think. So these are also the static style guides which we then have. And there's also CSS documentation, which is very good for developing. But customer normally cannot do anything with it. And then we have the living style guides, like you can do it like in our presentation with Pattern Lab, or you can do it with Pattern Primer or Fabricator. These are all tools which you can use to create a living style guide. And the benefit of a living style guide is really that it's on a website and it behaves like a website. And so you can see all the responsiveness, you can test it on how it behaves on a mobile screen, and also the transition from a mobile screen to a tablet or to desktop. Okay, so we use in our project Pattern Lab. I don't know, does anyone know Pattern Lab? Okay, just 1, 2. Okay, yeah, Pattern Lab is a tool for Living Style Guide. It works with Twig, and that's a benefit of it because in Drupal 8 we have Twig templates, and to have a style guide which makes use of Twig is a great benefit if you use Drupal. So you don't have to invent all the styles and all the templates again in Drupal. So we only produce one Twig template, and we can instantly use it in Drupal as well. Okay, so I can just show on. So we have here on our style guide for a new website, which we are currently developing, and you see this is this is an older iteration. It was before we implemented our component-driven design. This is for also atomic design, but it can also be used. So we have here base things like colors, breakpoints, grids, spacing, just a very, very basics of a website and of HTML. And so you can see the colors and every base elements. And in atomic design, you have atoms, molecules, organisms. I think all front-enders of you will know about atomic design, and this is nothing new. But what's new really here, I want to show you just for an organism. So we have a card, and you all know what a card is, and it's just an image with a headline and just a teaser text, and so we have a card, and this looks just basically like a normal HTML, which is very static, and the customer says, okay, this is very fine. But you can here in Pattern Lab also resize it and say, okay, this is just here in tablet mode, or how will it behave in on a mobile screen, and how it converts between all these formats. And then you can also have variations of it. This is just a gray card, and a branded card, which is just a variation which is done in CSS with a modifier, which is very easy to create. But the interesting part is if you combine it all to a real listing. So we have many cards which have different heights, the same width, but different heights, different modifications. And in a static style guide, you only see this screen. Then you see the screen, how it will look on a tablet with 2 columns, and in mobile screens it should have 1 column. But how does it really behave on a website? So the designer doesn't know what should happen there in between. And that's the benefit of this style guide, that you actually can work with it and just resize it. And then you see, okay, there's masonry in the background, so it gets shuffled and correctly styled. And also the sizes of the cards are changing. They can be a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger, depending on the width of the screen. And that's actually the benefit for the customer. So the customer can see, okay, this will be a part of my website, and this is how it will look on the website, and it will behave like that. And do I really want that these elements behave like this, or just do I want that there's just a bit more margin or so? And you can also instantly change it in the CSS code. And when you save it, then it gets updated, and you just in time see the results. So you can go to the client, or the client can look at the website, and you can instantly change everything, and that's in code. And the benefit of it is it's not only in the style guide, it can also be just instantly on the website. So if you do it live, then also it will change on the real website. You won't do it because normally you have a testing system where you just code this style and not on the real website. Yeah. So we also have pages, and so I can show you some page here. So we have all kinds of elements, and these elements are like the menu is a separate element, and yeah, the header image is a separate element. So these are all combined in the page, and they can be changed on their own. So you see here we have also the cards in there, and we have some text and some dummy text and some blog posts and footer and everything. So the client instantly sees his website, or just a dummy part with dummy content in it, but he can judge on it and say, okay, this looks like the static design we have from the designer, and yeah, so it's nearly finished, the website. But the benefit is we live in an agile world. So we have front-end developers and we have back-end developers. So what does a back-end developer do while I, as a front-ender, create this Living Styleguide? He just starts developing his website, and he knows what belongs to it. He creates all the views, he creates all the blocks and everything, and he doesn't have to care about what's in the front end. He will only make use of cards. So he just embeds the cards in his Drupal template, and but he don't care how the card really looks. It can look differently. It can change, but this is yeah, not totally parted from front end, from back end, but it's parted, and it can have different speeds. So maybe the design is ready before going live. Maybe the back end is ready, and the front end is still missing something. That's a process in normal projects which yeah, have to go together, but at different speeds. This is really normal, and you cannot say the back end must be first or the front end must be first. This can seamlessly go together, and you can create the back end and say, okay, we have created all things, and so we are waiting for the front end, or vice versa. Here, component-driven design. So we have shown you the atomic approach from Pattern Lab, but we have components because we think that in Drupal we don't have these atoms. We don't have molecules or so. This is a bit abstract. So we have components, reusable chunks from the website, headers, footers, and we have small ones like buttons, medium size like headers, or just large ones like photo galleries or so. And what we have done is we made use of the atomic design, but enhanced it. So we have, you see, we have base, we have atoms, but we have side elements. And side elements are basic elements like menus or breadcrumbs, which are not bound to any content. Then we have the layouts, site regions, which is common in Drupal. And we have content. And content is everything which is bound to any content, which is, in that case, the cards are bound to content. So this should be in content. Okay. So then I will hand it over to Alex, who will talk a bit more about this component-driven design and how it's connected with Twig and Drupal, how it's working together. So you will then take over. Okay.
Okay. How does it work? So, yeah, as my colleague Knud told, we have the Drupal integration. So actually, we created just a GitHub repository. Link will be placed later. It's just ready to use Drupal theme. It can be used even without Drupal. If you use some other project, it can be even not a PHP project. So in our setup, we based it on a Webpack. So it watches all the assets like CSS, JavaScript, images, fonts, everything together. It's just compiled via Webpack. And there is also this Laravel mix. I'm not sure if everybody knows it. It's like a wrapper around Webpack configuration. It's just some easy way to write Webpack configurations. And Frontend is Pattern Lab, which represents the Styleguide. There are not so much of prerequisites. It's just Node. So you need to have npm installed, and optionally you can use nvm to easily switch npm versions if you want to use really different version. So how to get it work? You just download it or clone it from GitHub. Then you just go to your theme in command line and you run script build. It will execute all the commands which you need to set up, like npm install. Also, it will start the pattern lab build and so on. So after that, if you did that once, you just need to always run npm run dev :pl. It will start watcher of your style guide. So everything which you are doing will be automatically compiled in the same time. So now the interesting part, we have prepared some videos for you. So this is how the folder structure of the our setup look like. We have this README. You can read everything more detailed inside here about the setup and so on, but we will focus now on how to use this thing. So we have the assets folder. It's in gitignore. So everything which is compiled, like JavaScript files, CSS files, all the fonts, all the images, they all go here. We recommend to put it into gitignore. Then we have the node modules, of course, all the node modules which you have installed. All the dependencies handled only by npm, so there is no bower, nothing else. You just need to have npm, webpack, and compose, only 3 things. Yeah, if you want to change configuration of the pattern lab itself, you can go to pattern lab config. This is folder with scripts which we just pre-configured, so you can like clean your setup, build it again, and so on. So you don't need to remember all these commands. You just execute these scripts. Source is actually everything which the developer, front-end developer, should be focused on. So components, are exactly those things which Knud mentioned. These are the components on the website. So base is all the colors, like you can have your variables here. Then you can also have breakpoints with like mobile, tablet, desktop breakpoints, and so on. You can have your JavaScript files inside. They will be automatically compiled then into main JavaScript file. Then grid system. In this example, I used Singularity grid system, but you can use whatever you want. If you want to bootstrap, just include your mixins or setup here. Then you can just use whatever you want. So every folder you create will appear in Pattern Lab. Everything you want, what you think of. If you need some special folder for typography, for fonts, you just create it here. It doesn't matter for Pattern Lab. You are really free to do anything you want here. So if you have like a font file, it will be automatically copied from any place. Yeah. Then we have the atoms folder. It's something which is already more complex than just some basics, like form elements, buttons, some reusable components which you can use anywhere on the website, which are not directly connected to some content. But like site elements are more complex elements. It's something that appear on a website, but which is not an editable content. Like a breadcrumb, the people don't edit breadcrumbs; they are automatically generated. So we thought about these folders. How would you really easily find something? If I need a logo, where should I go? And there is site elements because it's just a site element. It's not a content which is editable by editors. So I will just step back. So in every folder, you have mostly 3 files. One is Twig file. So what's good is that you can really use these Twig files in Drupal immediately. You have all these variables here. And those variables are in the YAML file. So these YAML files used only in Pattern Lab. This is just a demo content which you want to show in your style guide. So like logo, reference, title, and logo source. And then you always have this CSS, SAS file. Maybe I just go back. Open it. Okay, it doesn't matter. We'll have more examples later. Then there is another folder, the CSS, which is outside from the components. You can just put there some really generic mixins which you want, but again, you're not strictly have to do this. You can anyway structure it on your own. So we have also the layouts. Those are layouts of your page template, or if you use Page Manager, or if you already use Panelizer, you can also think about those layouts here. So this is like a site layout. It's a bit complex file. So it's really good in Pattern Lab that you can use really power of the Twig. So now you see this include. I include here the header template. So I don't think about header right here. I include it. And I use this alias. We will talk about them later. And I have these blocks. If you know what block does, it's actually a really interesting thing. You can write something here, but if you want to extend this template, you embed it, and then you can override these blocks. For example, if you have some specific case in any other place, you can just replace the block and tell, in this place, the content will be something different. So like for demo purpose, you can just tell this is the content top block. But if you use a Drupal template, you override it with your content top region content. Yeah, site regions, like basically regions which you have in Drupal. What you can think of, just header, some navigation bar, some sidebar. Yeah, so now we have this header here. This is the template of the header, and this is exactly that template which we included in the site. Content is everything which is editable on the website, like articles, for example. And articles can be combined into article list. So they are like two separate elements. Also, we use BAM everywhere. If you were at the previous session, it was a little bit mentioned that you always should use semantic HTML. So now, for example, this component is called article small. And that's really power of content-driven design. You have this component here, it's called the same, and all the sub-elements, they just called article small link, article small image, article small title. And all the logic of these components is done only in CSS. It's, I mean, logic of display. You don't use class like padding right, padding bottom. You always do it in CSS files. Yeah, and pages are just examples of how all the components work together. We can go to the next video. So here is an example. Like if you want to create a logo of the website, you just have this CSS file, and you have this Twig template. You type all the code here, and then yeah, all these variables like logo, they're just exactly the same variables in Twig. It's all handled by Pattern Lab. And then, for example, if you want to update something, we also have browser sync. It will immediately reload the browser, and yeah, it will change the image. The same happens if you change any Twig template or any JavaScript file. It always reloads the browser. It's cool when you have two monitors. You can really develop fast. So now, how does it work with Drupal? So for example, we have this logo in a Drupal website. So first, you open your Drupal website and think, how can I change this? So it's some block in a custom branding. So first, what you do, you enable Twig debugging. And then after that, you clear cache. If you don't know, you can go to services and enable Twig debugging. Just easy like that. Yeah, and then you clear cache. Then you have these comments everywhere which tell you how do you name your Twig template in your theme. So this is block custom theme branding. Yeah, I like copied all the content which I need to use for the presentation. And then you create a file with exactly the same name anywhere in your theme. So we just structure them by types, like blocks are all in block. So this is the template folder which is outside of Pattern Lab, of course, it's all Drupal related. Then you put your code inside, and that's what will the backend developer do. So it's really cool because now the work is really decoupled. The front-end developer will do everything in Pattern Lab. He doesn't even need to know anything about PHP or Drupal or so. He just have this Twig template, he has this style guide, and he just works with that. And then backend developer just goes here, creates a template and tell, okay, this is a logo with this link and this title. And it just includes a template from the Pattern Lab. Yeah, this site elements, it's a link to site elements. I have another video which explains how are they linked together. Yeah. So now we just flush cache on the website, and we will have the Pattern Lab template inside Drupal. Yep. And now you can see that we are using now template of our blog, blah, blah, blah. So what was that site elements? Site elements is like alias to the folders. You can do that with, of course, it's not a must. You don't have to do this. You can tell your path from the beginning to the end. But there is a Drupal module called components. You just install it, and then in your theme info, you just tell that site elements, it's an alias to this folder, which is this folder in Pattern Lab. And now, more advanced example. So let's imagine front-end developer developed the article teaser, which is just an image and the title, which will appear in some teaser stream or in some homepage. And also he had created a list of small articles, which are just 3 articles which have a breakpoint on tablet or on mobile, switch to 2 items. Yeah, that's that would the designer would do in the content folder. Yeah, what they want to say here. Yeah, just showing that we have only these 3 files. Then we have an article list, which we already saw before. So what it does, it just does some classes magic. So here is what we need. It's just for each for articles. We just loop articles and include our article small template inside here multiple times. Fine. Yeah, and in the Srce you can also have like variations of your thingy. For example, I have a size modifier, which I then use in a Twig template. I have different setup of those. And then I think I should show it now here. Yeah, it's now here. So I have this size, which is just a variable, and I have just tell if size is that, then create me class articles list small dash dash size. And then in this case, I can react on this class, and I can create something like variation with borders, short, and so in Srce you can have this magic ampersand symbol here, which means it will just replace it with the parent element. It's really good integrated with this BAM idea when you have everything started with a component name and then modification or sub-elements. So let's go back. Okay, so now in a Drupal, I have created just a content type, which is called article, just a simple node with title, body, image, and some tag fields. Also, then I have created just 3 articles, just an example. Just can open one article, just simply has one title and image and some description. So now the task is to list those articles. I use just views as any human being. So I just simple page, which looks like that, not styled. So that's what backend developer usually does, and then he should style all that. So then he asks front-end developer if there is already something in Styleguide, or he just looks there, find the templates. Yeah, also I created just one display mode teaser, which just shows some fields like image, body, so on. Yeah. So first, we style the article. It's almost the same what we did with logo, but now we need to search for the right template, because when there are so much comments, every field has its own description. Yeah, then we find it should be something like node dash dash teaser, so it was not so easy to find it from the first time. Node article teaser will be our template. Then yeah, we just create in our templates folder somewhere this template. Node would be the right place. Yeah, of course, I pre-created all these templates in text editor. Yeah, so I create the article small teaser template, which will be really, really easy. I just embed as before, just one template, and I just tell title will be the label, URL will be URL, image will be content.field image. You can easily figure out all those things with Twig because you have the debug function. You can always check the context of the current file. If you debug context of the file, it will show you which variables you can use. Yeah, now every time you change your Twig template, if you create a new Twig template, you need to clear theme cache. So now the article it's styled. Now let's see the title is different and image is also different. Yeah. You can see that our new template is used here. Now it's the time for views. Yeah, with views, it's not easy to guess always what's the template. It's always it's like views unformatted, then views ID, and then display ID. You can find them like that and that. But yeah, you can easily always find it on some Stack Overflow or in some Drupal documentation because Twig doesn't show you really the suggestions for views templates so good. So now the file is created. Now we need the content, and yeah, usually you know that views templates in Drupal are that so huge, but in our case it will be really easy. We just have more like advanced way in Twig to embed templates. Now we have this embed of the article small list, which we saw before. Here, title is views. You can use in Twig also definitions like that. Get title. It will just execute the method of the view object. And our variation is short. It means only 3 elements in a row. Modification with borders, whatever that means. And the block will be content of the row. Yeah, size. I have just. It's always good to have documentations. What means the size, some modification, which variations you have. It's good also for developers which are backend developers who use your template. Like now it's short means something which is defined here with some breakpoints which are relevant only for this class. So we are all set. Now we just need to go to Drupal and clear cache. Yeah, I remember that video. I had an issue here. You see now it displays like this. So it's styled, like it has borders. Maybe somebody knows what's the problem here. What do you think? Why did I have this strange content? Can you find an error in this template? It's like it's because raw content should be always in this curly brackets in Twig because it's a variable. I just output it as a text. It was not so smart. Yep. So now the articles are styled. So you just create the right template and you just reference the right template in Twig, and that's all the secret of that. So let's go back to the presentation. So I think, yeah. So let's maybe summarize what we discussed. So this Drupal theme is available on this address, on right here. So you can visit on GitHub. You can just copy it, fork it, then found documentations. If you want to really dig into setup and you want to customize it, those are useful links. How do you do the config changes? Twig documentation. This is really interesting thing. This gives you ability to have Twig templates in Drupal 7. We already did some projects with Pattern Lab and Twig templates in Drupal 7. This really works. And just some Pattern Lab documentation. Yep. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Mm-hmm. Ah, you mean the pattern lab? Yeah, so all the pattern lab specific style is like, if we go back to our Firefox, like this bar should be styled, of course, and this icon should be there. It's all, unfortunately, we don't have our PHP storm here. I would show you there, but I just can tell you. Pattern lab is a separate folder in this setup, which is also in gitignore. You don't care about this. It has its own pattern lab specific styles, which you can also extend with your styles if you, I don't know, want to see how the site layout looks without the content. You just put some div with just some border. So you see, this is my sidebar, this is that. But you don't want it on a live website. You just create, there is a specific folder for pattern lab specific things. You can put there everything you want. And the CSS of pattern lab is also related to that. So. I mean, so everything which is pattern lab specific, is not compiled into your. Yeah. Mm. Can you answer? Mm-hmm. Of course. Oh yeah, I can show you that. So like this, yeah. But this is not pattern lab related. Pattern lab is just show you your components. What you do inside of the component is your code. So you have a file somewhere, card, and you have media queries there inside. So you have like a breakpoints inside. Yeah. So it's not doesn't come from pattern lab. You do it on your own. Like. Yep. No, in pattern lab you just have this YAML templates everywhere, where you have this your dummy content. So what we usually do, we have, if you know that you have some image sizes, like image styles they're called in Drupal, which you have like big image, small image, teaser. We just create all images of those sizes, just one image with all the sizes, and you can just get them in pattern lab. So their own live content is not there, which I think totally makes sense. Good. So thank you for your attention. Enjoy pattern lab. Enjoy Drupal camp. Have a nice day.